Well, in the recent past, United States and many of the Western leaders have been seriously warning India, cautioning India, accusing India, blaming India, indicting India. I can use any number of synonyms. The US Deputy National Security Advisor warned India of dire consequences. President Biden made a very disgraceful statement that India is shaky. Indian response on Russian war on Ukraine is shaky. Not just the Britain, the Australian, the German officials, ministers, and a flurry of diplomats visited India, spoke to Indian leaders, and they all been expressing concern over India's neutral policy on the Russian war on Ukraine. Well, why is India selectively targeted? Is India alone in this process? Interestingly, I'll give you some examples. Turkey is a member of US-led North Atlantic Treaty Organization along with many European countries. What did Turkey do? Turkey condemned Russia, but it did not join the Western sanctions regime. It did not join the sanctions imposed by NATO, in which Turkey is a member. I'll give you another example. Israel is the closest ally of United States. But Israel also condemned Russia, but it did not join the sanctions regime. I'll give you the third country, United Arab Emirates. It's almost a client nation to US. US troops are stationed in UAE. So it's almost a client to America. But United Arab Emirates has also abstained. So, and many European countries continue to do trade with Russia, especially energy trade with Russia. As I told earlier, the European nations have imported 15% more energy than what it in March than what it did in February. So during the Russian war in Ukraine, despite sanctions, Europe not just continues to import energy, oil and gas from Russia, but in fact these energy imports have increased. Then what right these Western countries have in terms of in attacking India? So we have to understand why United States and the West are selectively targeting India on its neutral stand on Russian war in Ukraine. Well, India is not doing this for the first time also. Way back in 1957, when Nehru was the Prime Minister, when the then Soviet Union attacked Hungary, India did not condemn. Similarly, India did not condemn the Soviet intervention in Czechoslovakia, Soviet intervention in Afghanistan, US war on Iraq, and of course now the Russian war on Ukraine. We have never endorsed the war, but we have never condemned it. Because we believe that the condemnation will not yield any peace. Well, why then targeting India selectively? So there are three factors for this: political, economic, and strategic. What is the political factor? United States want to portray this Russian war on Ukraine as a war of an undemocratic nation and a democratic country. So President Biden and the United States want to portray this as democracy versus dictatorship. The idea of United States is they want to extend this binary to the entire world and portray everybody and anybody who opposes US as undemocratic and make it and rally all the other nations against US enemies. So, but United States should tell what kind of democracy is Taliban-led Afghanistan. Then why did America did not support the democratically elected Ashraf Ghani government against the Taliban aggression in Afghanistan? So there are serious such questions. Show me which country, which closest ally of United States in Asia and Africa and Latin America is a celebrated democracy. Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Pakistan, all these countries are the closest allies of United States. Is there democracy in these countries? So this democracy versus dictatorship is an absolutely farcical argument aimed at furthering the US foreign policy agenda. So America believes that if the world's largest democracy, India, does not join this binary and condemn Russian aggression on a democratic nation, Ukraine, then this democracy versus non-democracy binary will not have any credibility. So that is the first reason why Americans are so irritated and annoyed of India not toeing their line. Then second is economic. Well, US and the West impose sanctions, but many of the Asian, except 3-4 Asian nations like Singapore, South Korea, Japan, these are the only 3 countries which have joined the sanctions regime. American allies Turkey, Israel did not join the sanctions regime. China, of course, doesn't agree with these sanctions. Europe, despite agreeing with the sanctions, are still continuing energy trade with Russia, given their own complications. So if the sanctions have to be meaningful, if the sanctions have to be effective, America desperately needs India to back its sanction regime. So that is the economic reason why they want Indian support. And another important thing is India in the recent past have developed a very close strategic relationship military relationship with America. Still, Russia remains our dominant defense supplier. According to an estimate, 70% of India's defense imports are originating from Russia. So America believes that if Russia defense ties are adversely affected, then India will obviously move to US and its allies like Israel and for defense supplies. So to get more market for their military industrial complexes, America wants India to sever its ties with Russia. So this is the economic interest inherent in it. Then the third are the strategic interest. Well, during the Cold War, India was a Soviet ally despite pursuing non-aligned movement, non-aligned foreign policy. But post-Cold War, India has moved towards United States, and we have moved too far, in fact. India is almost a junior partner to America, and India has embraced America's strategic partnership in Indo-Pacific region, which means the region which China and India exist, where we are the partners in American scheme of things. Well, India joined the US-led Quad alliance along with Japan and Australia, which is essentially aimed at encircling China. Therefore, the United States believed, because India joined Quad, India has a military and strategic relation with USA, we have embraced US military partnership. So United States was thinking that India has abandoned its strategic autonomy by aligning with America's strategic interest. So therefore, America was really surprised when India refused to listen to American diktats on Russia, because they thought that by remaining neutral on Russia-West conflict, India will be contributing to the multipolarity of the world. In fact, India realized this also. US is no longer the dominant power. US withdrawal from Afghanistan, US-Europe differences reveal the diminishing significance of United States as the sole superpower in the world. On the contrary, China is emerging as a very big power. Russia still remains a power, though it's not an economic power. It's still a military power and a huge land mass. It's a huge nation, and Russia has its own influence in Central Asia. So therefore, America thought that if India supports Russia, then this will only strengthen the multipolarity. United States wants a unipolar order under its leadership. So this is the strategic reasons why America is unduly worried of India's autonomous decision making, India demonstrating strategic autonomy on the Russian war on Ukraine.